Hello again, another video on algebra, and this one is about substituting and evaluating. Now, I had a real sense of the class when we taught this one that it was a little bit of a relief to finally get some practical questions about algebra, and I think secretly you guys found this quite fun. So let's do some practice. Before we do that, let's think about those two words, substitute and evaluate. So substitute, my example I gave in class was when you replace a player from a game of football, let's say, with a different player from the bench. So that means if you imagine the player that left was the pronumeral and the player that's going on is a value or a number. Okay, so in an algebraic expression, you're just replacing the pronumerals with a number. Usually that will be given to you. Okay, so it might say at the start of a question, if x equals 3, for example, evaluate this expression. Okay? That's my dog rousing up the neighbour's dog, if you can hear that. Let me just pause this video and sort that out. Happy to know that my dog Barnes has sorted himself out. Alright, let's go back to our questions. Alright, so I just explained what substitute means. So the next thing to discuss is evaluate. So to work out a final answer to an expression. So once you've replaced the pronumerals with numbers, or a number, and you just have an expression with just numbers in it, it's really a case of working out your final answer. So you also need to be really careful in that case about order of operations, which is why we did that exercise first, and record all your working. You guys have been really good at that, so don't get lazy and skip steps, because that will lead to errors down the track. Okay, so let's do some examples. Here it says x equals 3 and y equals 8. Evaluate x plus 2y. Okay, remembering when we have a number right next to a pronumeral, that just means times. So the first step is always to just substitute your values in. Don't do any working, just put them in there. So we're rewriting 3 plus 2 times 8. Now make sure you do write that times, because if you accidentally write 2 right next to an 8, you might forget that that's times and read that as 28, which would be incorrect. So now we figure it out, we evaluate it by using our order of operations. So our times would go first. So 2 times 8, 16. Rewrite your expression. So 3 plus 16, 19. Final answer. Okay, let's do another example. Alright, so if p equals 4, evaluate 3p squared plus 7. Okay, so when you've got a pronumeral that has a squared just above it, it just means that part there is squared, not the 3 in this case. Okay, so again, first step is just to insert your values. So 3 times 4 squared plus 7. Okay, so in our order of operations we do brackets first. There is none in this, so the next step is to do operations, and that's an example of an operation. Okay, so I'm just rewriting now, nothing changes yet. 4 squared means 4 times itself. Whoops, I accidentally wrote 14 then. 4 times 4, so that's 16, plus 7, okay? And now I've got 3 times 16 plus 7. I've nearly run out of room. So 48 plus 7, 55. Okay, so always go back and check your working. So I've got 3 times 16, 3 times 10 is 30, 3 times 6 is 18. Yep, so 48 plus 7 is 55. Okay, next example. Now I threw this one in here because we haven't done square roots for ages, but I did notice that there was lots of those in the text. So I thought it was a good chance to go over some of those in this practice. So first step, always just insert your values, alright? So we've got our square root symbol, p is 4. plus 3 squared, sorry, plus 3 squared plus t. Alright, careful when you're writing your t's in your working that you make sure it looks just like a cursive t and not a plus sign. I've seen that happen before. So our next step is our operations. So in terms of order of operations, the process, anything that has a square root symbol over the top of it, everything underneath it needs to be done first. Okay, so let's just recap. What does a square root mean? So it means what number has times itself to give that value. Okay, so what number has times itself to give the 4? 2. And it'd be really handy if you knew like your easier square root values. So what 3 squared equals 9, what 2 squared equals 4. That will save you like heaps of time. Okay, and you can go on with that. Anyway, so let's write the square root symbol again. Now I'm just going to process the squared. So 4 squared is 16 and 3 squared is 9 plus, and I can pop in the value for t here. I should have done that up there, but that's no problem. Okay, now I just need to make this addition, still with my square root symbol. And now that this is just a value under here, I can actually work out, alright, what's the square root of 25? So what number has times itself to give that value? And that would be 5 plus this 5, okay, is 10. Alright, bit of a tricky example there. Alright, this is why I love algebra so much. It's got so many things combined all together with it. I had 2 more questions ready to go, so let's do those as well. So here we have, it's a bit hard to see there, that's supposed to be an 8. So we've got 3 squared minus 8 in brackets with the 6 out the front, so that means that it's times everything in the brackets. And then this line here and x plus 2 down the bottom. So that means all of this divided by this. Okay, so let's insert our values first. The question has given you 5 as the value for x. So I have 6. You can write a little times in there if that helps you. Outside of 3 times 5, because they're right next to each other, minus 8, 5 plus 2. Okay. So everything in the brackets first. Let's tackle that. So I'm still just going to write my 6 there. 3 times 5 is 15 minus 8. And then this is a simple one I can do at the same time. 5 plus 2, 7. Alright, next line of working. So I aim to get this to just be a single number so that I can not write the brackets anymore. So 6 times 15 minus 8. 15 minus 8 is 7. Over the top of 7. I'm just going to go up here because I've run out of space. So 6 times 7, 42. Divided by 7. Now it's nice and simple. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So don't freak out when something is this large, okay? You just need to take it step by step, okay? And check everything as you go as well. Okay, last example. This is a fun one. So I've got 12 over a plus 6 over b plus the square root of a plus b squared. Okay, so insert my values first. 12 over, a is 2 in this example, plus 6 over b, and b is 3. So that means a division, plus the square root of a plus b, so 2 plus 3, squared. Alright, so already that's looking heaps more simple. So 12 divided by 2, 6. 6 divided by 3, 2. Plus 2 plus 3 is 5 squared. Okay, 6 plus 2, I'm just going to tackle this part next. Square root of 5 times 5, 5 squared is 5 times 5, 25. Okay, now I've got 8 plus the square root of 25. Okay, getting closer. Whoops, sorry, I'll go off screen there. Just go a little higher. Geez, my videos are quality, aren't they? Totally winging it. Alright, so 8 plus the square root of 25. So what has times by itself to give this number? 5. 8 plus 5, 13. So interesting, if you picked up at this stage here, the square root symbol and the square root there, you could almost think about that as cancelling. Okay, and that would take you right back down to this step here. Anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later when you can think about cancelling and all those sorts of things. But just something to think about that I thought was interesting with that question. Okay, all done.